Hello everyone. Justin Crumley here with the CuJo Productions channel. Welcome to another edition of CuJo's Corner, and this ain't just a normal episode. I have a guest with me. Everybody remembers this guy. It's good old Vinny Brown. Vinny, introduce yourself to the crowd.
What's going on, everyone?
All right, and yep, we're so today's episode. Today's installment is going to be about the New England Patriots. The NFL season technically already kicked off, but Pats don't play till technically today is when this episode's going to go up. The episode, I did it again. Installment. When this installment is going to go, I swear I'll get this right at some point. Is going to go up. So, we're basically just going to talk about the schedule. We're going to talk about like what the record's going to be, what our expectations for the season is going to be. Just, pretty straightforward. So, first of all, Vinny, how you doing tonight?
Very good.
Doing very good, very good. That's nice. So, let's just get right into it, man. What are you expecting from New England?
A 10-6 or 11-5 year.
10-6. So you're fully. You think they're gonna go? You think they're gonna win like the majority of their games? They have one of the toughest schedules in.
As long as Belichick is a coach,
It.
he's the guy to know what to do with this kind of roster.
Yeah, yeah. I could see that. Belichick is like the whole reason that I think there's anybody out there that says, "Oh, this team's still a winning team. This is still a winning team. This is still a team that can take the AFC East." And I normally don't I don't buy too much into the whole like the strength of schedule thing, because I'm a firm believer in any given Sunday. But for the record, any given Sunday is any given Sunday, any team can win, any team can lose, kind of thing. Anyway, so I'm looking at the schedule now. They're playing Miami to kick off the year. I don't think they're going to have too much trouble with that myself. I am not really a believer in the Dolphins right now. I think they're on their way to being something special. I think they'll win more than 5 games this year, but I don't think they're going to have too much trouble with Miami. Although they are playing them in New England, and for whatever reason, we seem to have trouble with Miami in New England, so maybe Cam Newton will break that. Who knows?
It was seeming more we had problems with them in Miami than we did in New England.
Yeah, when we had Brady, that seemed to be the case. He never really played well in Miami. That's kind of makes me wonder, like if that's going to translate to
Tampa.
Tampa, yeah. I don't know how he played in Tampa, so, but looking at the schedule here, they got Seattle week 2, they got the Raiders week 3, Kansas City week 4, Denver week 5, San Francisco weeks 7. I think, yeah, week 6 they're on a bye, so week 7 they play San Francisco. Week 8 they go to Buffalo, then they go to New York to play the Jets. Then they play Baltimore at home. I mean, this is a tough schedule right here, and it's, I guess for me, I really could see this going either way. Like, I want to talk about some of the more difficult games, I think, on here. Let's, I'm going to go over that. What I think, Seattle, Kansas City, San Francisco, Buffalo, Baltimore. These are not going to be easy games. I mean, the Rams, I don't know what the Rams are going to look like at that point in the year. It's tough to say. But in Houston, I mean, they look good for a little bit against Kansas City, but yeah, I don't really know what to expect from them either. But like Kansas City, San Francisco, Seattle, Buffalo, Baltimore, I think these are going to be the tough ones here. I think these are going to be the games that if the Patriots lose, I really won't be mad. Like this is kind of like a difficult year. I mean, obviously for obvious reasons, this has been a really difficult year for everybody. But When just talking about the Patriots, I mean, we had the most guys opt out of the year, and some of those guys are some big names too, like Patrick Chung, Dante Hightower, Brandon Bolden, Marcus Cannon. I mean, so like a lot of people say like, oh, look at Belichick. Even Belichick can't win with this kind of roster. Look at all these big names that have pulled out. When I hear that, the only thing I can think is, okay, well then if they end up sucking and they go like 7-9 or they go 500, they go 8-8, and I say, well look, some of their best players opted out. Who did Belichick have to work with? You can't look at me and say like, oh, it's making an excuse. But it's true, they had so many players opt out, and I'm not saying this to make excuses. I'm saying this to kind of like take everything into consideration when looking at their schedule, which I'm going to go back to for a second. And like I said, look at some of these games here. Just tell me which ones stand out to you, like off the bat.
Seattle, Vegas, Kansas City, Denver, Buffalo, Baltimore, Houston. That Arizona game also intrigues me too.
Really, why?
Kyler Murray versus Cam. That's going to be a good one.
That is going to be fun to watch. I think Arizona's going to have them beat in the wide receiver department. But we'll get to all that in a second. I noticed you didn't list the San Francisco game. Do you just think they're going to lose or they're going to win? What's going on there? Like, does that just?
I'm iffy about that game. Very iffy.
I honestly don't think they're going to win that one.
I think they'll win it because Garoppolo, for some reason, like he'll have a 2-touchdown game, but a 3-interception game.
Yeah,
I've noticed that with him. And I'm like,
I mean, it's possible because they could be a lot better than even we're giving them credit for. Because, like I said, I do subscribe to the belief of any given Sunday, but if I'm a betting man, I'm not betting on New England to win that game.
It's at Foxborough. That's another reason why I think they have a good chance of winning.
That is true.
A lot of teams struggle at Foxborough, so I'm like...
That's true. That is true. So, I think that makes it more intriguing for me. Baltimore also is going to be in Foxborough, so that's also... that gives me a little hope that they could possibly pull that one out. So you said Seattle. We both said Seattle. It's always fun to watch them two play. It just is. It's a lot of freaking fun. I love watching them play. I really like watching Russell Wilson play, and it's a Sunday night game too, so it'll be on TV. Yeah, I think low key Russell Wilson's one of the best quarterbacks in the game.
He's, in my opinion, I have him in the top 10.
Oh, absolutely. I think he's one of the best. I don't think he is the best right now, definitively, but he is definitely up there with, like Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, that kind of stuff.
I'll also say Tom Brady.
Yeah, with Tom, it's a little tough because he definitely was showing signs of slowing down big time last year, but I mean at the same time he didn't have like shit to
throw to.
Yeah, it's not that he didn't have shit to throw to, it's just wide receivers didn't play that good last year, which we'll get to that after we're done going over the schedule. So what intrigues you about the Las Vegas game so much? Because I think they'll actually win that one. I don't think they're going to have... Not that, low-key, I think Las Vegas is putting together something pretty good, but...
Will they be able to contain Josh Jacobs? That's the main question.
That is going to be tough, because Josh Jacobs is pretty damn good. I mean, really, really good. He was in consideration for Rookie of the Year last year, so what does that tell you?
Like, Derek Carr, he's a good quarterback, but honestly, their offense is Josh Jacobs. I'm going to say it.
A lot of people think Mariota's going to take the spot over for Carr, but I heard he got injured. So, I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see in 3 weeks.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. The Kansas City game, to be honest with you, dude, I don't think they're going to win that one. I really don't.
Just don't get blown out.
Yeah, I hope they don't get blown out. But I don't. Again, if I'm a betting man, I'm not betting on them. What about the Denver one? Because honestly,
I'm taking New England in that game.
I am too. I think they will win it. I was just like, because you pointed that one out too.
I mean, sure, the
Let's
Broncos
see.
have a decent defense, but Drew Lock, a second-year quarterback versus Cam Newton, who's been in the league a whole lot longer.
But you also have like, look at the run game Denver's bringing. They got
Lindsey.
Philip Lindsay, I think his name is.
And Melvin Gordon.
Melvin Gordon, yeah, they signed Melvin Gordon. I know that, but God, I might have got his name wrong. Like off the top of my head, Lindsay.
Philip Lindsay.
It is Philip Lindsay. Okay. In case I'm wrong, somebody correct me in the comment section. Just feel free to be like, hey, dumbass, that's wrong. It's actually this guy. Because I remember I kept saying Cortland Sutton, but he's a wide receiver. So like that's even more stupid in my opinion. But anyway, moving on here. So Buffalo, a lot of experts think that they could end up being the team to take the AFC East.
They need a better quarterback.
I think it does ultimately come down to Josh Allen. Like if he has a bad year, he just better hope that the run game puts something together and just does something big. Because there ain't no way he's getting anywhere, or Buffalo's getting anywhere if he plays like absolute crap.
If Buffalo was smart, they would trade Josh Allen during this offseason for Sam Darnold. He'd be a much better upgrade, too.
I don't think the Jets would do that. Like, there's no way the Jets are going to give up Sam Darnold for that. That's not going to happen. Like, come on, man, this ain't Madden. That shit don't happen.
I think we'll either split with Buffalo or sweep them.
So you don't think there's any chance they sweep us?
The reason why I say that, Belichick's at helm. Belichick has seemed to own the Bills.
Yeah.
So it's either gonna be a split or a sweep. That's how I see it. I know Buffalo has a good defense, but Belichick is that coach. He's that coach.
See, I think Belichick. I think I've already said this already, but Belichick is basically the reason that I think this team has any fucking chance this year, in the slightest, like at all. It's really strange because these really are strange times, you know, and I'm not just talking about like everything that's gone on in 2020. I'm talking about with the Patriots. Like this is really a time of uncertainty here. I don't know what the hell's gonna happen. If they make the playoffs, I'll be happy with that, you know. So Arizona, that one is gonna be fun to watch. Houston, that'll be fun to watch too. Baltimore, I honestly don't think they're going to beat Baltimore.
Even though it's in Foxborough?
I'm going backwards for the record. They play Arizona in Week 12. They play Houston Week 11 and Baltimore Week 10. And yes, even if it is in Foxborough, unless Lamar Jackson is playing like garbage or he's
he takes
injured.
a step back this year?
Yeah, like if he takes a step back or he's injured, then maybe they do.
Here's what I say. Week 1 will show us who are the good ones and then who are the medium ones. That's how I look at it.
Well, we won't get an idea, I think, until a few weeks in.
Like week 3?
Yeah, about 3 or 4. We'll start to kind of figure out like who's going to be the great and who's going to be like terrible. But you never know. Like this is a sport. Football is a sport of constant like shifting and changing. So. Anyway, the LA Chargers, that one intrigues me purely because, like...
Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, are we going to see Tyrod Taylor or are we going to see Justin Herbert? And I would assume because it's in Week 13, if the Chargers are out of playoff contention, I don't think we're going to see Tyrod Taylor. I think we'll see Justin Herbert. If they are in playoff contention, then we might see Tyrod Taylor. Because if they're in playoff contention, There's no reason to not play Tyrod Taylor. He must be doing something right. Unless Justin Herbert takes a spot, which is also possible, but I don't see it happening. Maybe it could happen, because I, to be honest with you, I'm not the biggest fan of Tyrod Taylor myself. Not, nothing against him personally. It's more or less just him as a quarterback. I'm not.
He's clean.
Yeah, he's got decent wheels. He's got a decent arm, but he's just kind of like middle of the road. He's like a backup at best, in my opinion.
For most players, yeah, but honestly, he'd probably be the starting quarterback in Washington right now. If they
really over Alex Smith, or did they release Alex Smith?
Even though he's coming with the team, he's trying to make a comeback. I would still take Tyrod over Alex Smith only because you don't worry about that injury with Tyrod.
What about Dwayne Haskins?
Dwayne he was up and down last year. Like he would have one good week, then right in the middle, then a decent. He would go up and down. I'm like, you need consistency.
Yeah.
Or at least something that can at least manage you the game to win.
I could see that, but let's get back to the Patriots. So I think I've already mentioned we had the most players opt out.
Yes.
And
yes,
I went over. We had 8 players, I think, total. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we had 8 players total. The whole list is Matt Lacoste, Marquise Lee, Patrick Chung, Dante Hightower, Brandon Bolden, Marcus Cannon, Danny Vitelli, and I'm gonna botch this really bad. Nahi Turan. He's an offensive lineman, but Marquise Lee kind of bummed me out because I was looking forward to adding him to the wide receiver core. I think he's actually a pretty decent wide receiver when he's healthy, but unfortunately he opted out, and I'm not. I'm not gonna use this time to bash any of the players or anything. I think it's perfectly reasonable if they wanted to opt out. Some of them are very high risk, like Marcus Cannon. I think he's like a fucking cancer survivor or something. I mean, that's insane to me. It's like, holy shit, dude. So definitely don't blame him. Dante Hightower just had a son. I think it's like him and his wife or him and his girlfriend, whatever. They just had a kid, so he doesn't want to put the kid at risk. Totally understand. We're not gonna fucking hate on these guys. It's just, it is gonna suck not having these guys. I think Kyle Duggar, the guy we drafted, is gonna have to step up big because Patrick Chung is not gonna be playing this year. Brandon Copeland, the guy we got from the Jets, is gonna have to make some plays because Dante Hightower's not gonna be playing. The running back position, I think we're okay at. So, actually we'll get to that shortly. So power rankings have them at number 15. What do you think of that? Do you think that's about where you would put them?
Makes sense. That's where I would.
I would put them at 15 because, again, they're about middle of the road. They're not like, we're not sure what the hell they're going to be. So, it is what it is. I do agree with that. So, anyway, let's talk a little bit about some more. Let's get into the meat of this conversation. Let's talk about the Patriots. So more about the Patriots. Okay, wide receiver core got incredibly thin. It seems like in the blink of an eye. I mean, they released Mohamed Sanu. They who else is gone now?
Lamar Miller.
He's a running back.
Oh.
But Marquise Lee opted out. We released Mohamed Sanu. They ended up Jeff Thomas. I think they cut him. I heard he wasn't performing. I don't know I don't know what the hell the story on Jeff Thomas was. But with Mohamed Sanu, I heard it was like he wasn't doing as well as they were hoping, and they just didn't want to pay him $6 million. And he didn't want to take a pay cut, so they flipped him. It's kind of that. They didn't flip him, but they released him. It sucks, but it is what it is. So That does suck, but I think the fact that we're very thin at wide receiver just mainly says guys like Gunnar Olszewski and Jacoby Myers are going to have to step up big. They're going to have to develop some chemistry with Cam Newton. They're going to have to step up and be they're going to have to step up, make some plays, because they are definitely going to be seeing some more playing time, I think. Philip Dorsett, that's another guy we lost in the offseason. He's not with us. He's in Seattle now. Josh Gordon is not with New England anymore. All we have is Julian Edelman, N'Keal Harry, and Jacoby Myers, Gunnar Olszewski, and we got the 2 tight ends, Devin Asiasi, Dalton Keene, that we drafted. We also have who else do we have at tight end? Lacoste is out. He opted out. Got Ryan Izzo, who I really like, but is injured a lot, so he unfortunately doesn't see the field too much. So, but let's talk about Julian Edelman and N'Keal Harry. It's just this simple. They need to have some bounce back years.
Yes, they do.
Well, did you know Julian Edelman led the league in drops last year? And N'Keal Harry was last in the league for separation. And the Patriots wide receiver core was actually last for separation last year. That was me moving something. Sorry. So yeah, and N'Keal Harry is a first round pick, 32nd overall. 32nd?
Yes.
32nd overall. I mean, there's big things expected from this guy. He's a big body receiver that can hop up and go deep. He was brought in because we lost Gronk in the offseason last year. So he's going to have a bounce back year. He spent half the year on IR, which sucks, and it may not be his fault, but still, he's going to have a bounce back year. It's just that simple. Edelman, I almost feel like with Edelman, I don't want to make excuses for the guy, but he is getting older. So we're more or less, I think, starting to see his decline. But while he's still playing, he's got to catch the freaking ball. Catch the freaking ball. And I mean, let's be real. We're probably going to be a very run-heavy team, but the few times we're gonna pass the ball, I'd be willing to bet Cam's going to go to Edelman. He's going to try to develop that chemistry that Brady had with Edelman. He's going to try to make it work. He may also try to make it work with N'Keal Harry. So N'Keal Harry's going to have to step up, make some big plays. I remember Cam Newton was once known for having a pretty strong arm, so he might want to go down the field a few times. I think N'Keal Harry is the guy to do it. But he's got to be there to make the plays, and he's got to, hopefully he doesn't end up becoming too injury prone and becomes a bust. Because I remember the choices were either him or DK Metcalf, and, well, DK Metcalf had a pretty good year last year with Seattle, so...
That hurts.
Yeah. But, I do believe in N'Keal Harry. I like N'Keal Harry. I remember watching him at Arizona State in a game against Michigan State. He made some pretty good plays. I was super excited for that guy when we drafted him, so... And I think he will have a good season. I do. I really do. So, now, as far as Edelman goes, it's tough. Because I just sat here and I told you that we're probably witnessing the decline. So, it's tough for me to say, like, oh, I think he's going to have a bounce back year. I don't know. I don't know if he's even going to play as much as he is. Who knows? Jacoby Myers might see more playing time over him. You never know. We'll see. I doubt that, really, but we'll see. So, let's talk about running back for a second, because that's also really interesting with the Patriots. They came into the year, they had Sony Michel, Damian Harris, Brandon Bolden, Rex Burkhead, and James White. Brandon Bolden ended up opting out. So they signed Lamar Miller. They They also had they had signed who else? Oh God, no, it's Lamar Miller. That's who I was thinking of. Actually, there was talk for a minute that they were going to sign Leonard Fournette. Like there was all this talk going on, like, oh, Leonard Fournette is in talks with the Patriots. Leonard Fournette's in talks with the Patriots. There was some actual credible sources like talking about this. So I'm sitting here thinking like, oh shit, like they're going all in on the power run game, aren't they? Because that pretty much would beef up the run game. And then Leonard Fournette goes to freaking Tampa Bay. Of course he does.
That's sports for you.
I mean, really, Tampa Bay is just like throwing that money around. Like, just not even funny, dude. It's not even funny. But we'll see how that works. We'll see how that works for him. But we're not here to talk about the Buccaneers much. We're here to talk about the Patriots. So anyway, back to that. They released Lamar Miller because I don't know. I heard he got hurt, but then it was also like he was underperforming. So that it is what it is. I think they were promoted J.J. Taylor, I think his name is, from the practice squad. A lot of people are excited about him. I don't really know a lot about him, so I'll just kind of leave it there. Damian Harris is starting the season on IR for the first 3 weeks, I think. He was doing really well at practice, apparently, so that kind of hurts. And he was going to be heavily relied on, especially in the power run game, because he is one of those running backs that's more of a downhill runner that's going to go down your throat kind of thing. And yeah, it's one of those things where it's kind of a disappointment that he's going to spend the first 3 weeks on IR, but it is what it is. Obviously, we got Sony Michel, James White. These are guys that are going to see a lot of playing time. Rex Burkhead, I'm not usually the biggest fan of, but
he's a third down running back.
I always thought James White was, unless they kind of split the time.
They do.
Yeah, because like I see Rex Burkhead come in and out, and he does make some good runs. He's got some decent hands, but he's a good runner for the amount that they use him. I think James White is definitely more better in the in the pass catching department. He's kind of like a slot receiver, so to speak. So yeah. I think Sony Michel. It's hard for me to say like, oh, he's got to have a better year, because he actually didn't have that bad of a year. He still had over 900 yards. It's just he didn't really look that great for the majority of the season. They also the Pats actually limited his carries after a while, just to I heard there was to avoid paying him a certain amount, but I'm not sure. So. They kind of limited his carries, which I didn't quite get. It's like, dude, he's running really good at a point. He was, like I said, he still had over 900 yards last year. Why the hell are you limiting his carries? He's tearing it up. Don't do that. So, but with the wide receiver core being as thin as it is, I really do think they're going to rely on the run game, almost like Tennessee did, just to a T. So now the only thing we gotta hope is that the running backs don't get injured and the offensive line can keep it together. Isaiah Wynn, I think it's important to talk about. Let's talk about the O-line for a second, because we lost Marcus Cannon. That's a big loss. We lost Ted Karras. Well, we're getting David Andrews back, so that's good. We're getting. We're also gonna have Isaiah Wynn, hopefully for the whole year. He's a damn good left tackle when he's actually on the fucking field, but that's the problem. It's when he's on the field, and he almost never is. Then there's Marshall Newhouse. I don't think he's a Patriot anymore. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I want to say he is.
Kind of hope not, to tell you the truth.
Yeah,
I don't feel like looking it up. he's a backup offensive lineman for a reason. Like, he's not a starter. He was not brought in to be an all-down starter. He was brought in to give Isaiah Wynn rest every now and again. And unfortunately, Isaiah Wynn just couldn't stay healthy. So, it's one of those things. It is what it is. Yeah. So, yeah, I definitely do see them relying heavily on the run game. Let's talk about some records. Did you see what ESPN had them going?
What was their prediction?
ESPN, I think they said 5-11.
I don't ever trust ESPN with predictions.
I don't think they'll go 5-11. I think that's
at worst 7-9 or 8-8.
Yeah, I think though at the worst they'll be 7-9. And, you look back at the schedule again. I'm gonna pull this up again, right in front of us. So, like I said, Miami, I don't think they're gonna have too much trouble with. We talked about the games that are gonna be harder. They're gonna be difficult. I don't think they're going to have any trouble with Miami. I don't think they're going to have too much trouble with the Jets. I think they will beat Arizona. They will beat the Chargers. They will beat the Rams. I don't see those games being, very hard for them. Buffalo, they easily could split. San Francisco, I don't think they'll beat San Francisco, and I also don't think they're going to beat Baltimore. And I don't think they'll beat Kansas City, so that's 3 right there.
They'll win one of them.
I hope so, but
I see San Fran being the one.
I hope, but again, I hope for the best.
Their head coach is the same coach that blew 28-3.
Yeah, that's true, but I mean, you can't just. They got back to the Super Bowl for a reason. Like, Kyle Shanahan's still a good coach, but yeah. So, here, obviously, we got some disagreements. Let's go over each fucking game. And as soon as we get done with that, I feel like that'll wrap it up, because that's about all we got. So let's start with Miami. This is the game they play today. Do you see them having any trouble here?
Maybe for a quarter. Then they'll just win.
I don't think it'll be too much trouble. Ryan Fitzpatrick is starting.
This is a revenge game for us, by the way.
Yeah, it is. It is a revenge game for us. I was going to bring that up. They beat us on our home turf last time to end the season last year. We gotta kick their asses for that. So, I don't think they're gonna have too much trouble on this one. I don't think we're gonna see Tua. I don't think we're gonna have to worry about that. And even if we did, I wouldn't even be worried about it, just because Belichick has a pretty good record with rookie quarterbacks. So. Yeah, I personally just don't think they're going to have any trouble with Miami. I think they'll win that one. Seattle, this is one that really could go either way. They'll either win this one by 3 or 6. They'll barely get out of this one. Or they'll barely lose. It really can go either way here.
I'm going to take New England in this one. Just because of Bill Belichick.
I mean, that's only going to get you so far. Not even Belichick gets outsmarted sometimes. I just think Seattle has a better team, unfortunately. Maybe I'm overestimating Seattle a little bit, but like I said, I do think New England can win this. It's just Russell Wilson is a damn good quarterback. Pete Carroll's got a good thing going in there.
Their defense is questionable, though. Over the last few years, Seattle's defense has been just in the middle.
Do you think it's going to get better now that they got Jamal Adams, though?
One player doesn't make a defense.
Yeah, but, I mean, they got Jamal Adams, Quandre Diggs, they got Bobby Wagner, who I think was, the best linebacker in the league last year. Maybe it was KJ Wright I'm thinking of, I'm not sure. But it was one of them on Seattle. So they got some good players on their defense. I'm just saying, don't sleep on Seattle. I really do. And actually, another note on that one, they're in Seattle. They're not at Foxborough, so that's also why I think this one could really go either way. Las Vegas, to tell you the truth, I don't think they're gonna have too much trouble. They're home for that one. Las Vegas is coming to Foxborough. I just think New England's gonna win that one. I think, like I said, low key, I think Las Vegas is a good team. I think John Gruden's actually putting something pretty decent together with that, and yes. It's going to work for him at some point. I just don't think they're going to beat New England this year. Yeah, I really don't.
I got New England beating Vegas too.
Yeah, I definitely. This one at Kansas City. They're going to Arrowhead. I'm sorry, man. I just cannot see them winning this game.
Just don't lose by 28.
Yeah, I could see them getting absolutely
now, if Mahomes
blown out.
Gets injured, then I think we have a chance.
Oh, yeah. Well, if Mahomes is injured or he doesn't play, then we have a chance. Absolutely. Honestly, that could be the only chance we have. Not to hate on New England.
It's just there's a possibility like if Mahomes does go down, then New England has that chance.
Oh yeah, they do. I mean, they could beat Kansas City even with Mahomes. They can any given Sunday. But like I said, if I'm a betting man, I'm not betting on New England to win this game. I think Kansas City is going to win. I don't think it's going to be that close. It could be a blowout. But it could also be close. I think New England can keep it close. If New England can keep it close, I think they can win the game. But I think that's going to be a challenge in itself.
Gilmore's going to have to literally carry the defense that game.
Well, see, that's the thing. It's not just the Gilmore show. He's just the best player on the defense. They still have Devin McCourty, Jason McCourty, J.C. Jackson, John Simon, Chase Winovich turned in a pretty good year last year. We're going to have to rely on a couple rookies like Josh Uche and Kyle Duggar. But Stephon Gilmore for sure I think is going to be the best player on defense, and there's just no doubt about it. Okay, so I think, like I said, if New England can keep it close, they can beat Kansas City. All right, so moving on to Denver. They're in Foxborough. I think they'll win this one, ultimately.
I got New England by 13.
13. I could see them winning by about that. And it's nothing against Denver. I think Denver, much like...
They're in a rebuild.
Well, no, I think Denver, much like Las Vegas, is putting something together that's going to work, but it's just not quite their time yet. I think Drew Lock is only going to get better from here on out. I think they got Jerry Jeudy in the draft. That's going to work out really well. They got some good wide receivers in Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy. So they also have Noah Fant, the tight end. I don't know how good he did last year, but he's still out there. They also have the run game, Phillip Lindsay and what's his name? Melvin Gordon. So they're gonna have a good team. It's very possible they beat New England in this game. I just don't think they're gonna. I think New England wins this game, and I think it's going to be by either 10 or by 6, like right around that range. I'm going to do my best to not predict scores, but that's what I'm thinking. Okay, Week 7 versus San Francisco. You think they're going to win this game?
I see a late field goal and New England wins. That's what I'm going with.
I think if they win the game, that's going to be how they do it. I could also see them... this easily could be one of those games where it's like everyone thinks San Francisco is going to pound them, but like they don't, and New England just like ends up destroying, like kind of like Cleveland, Baltimore last year. Cleveland dropped 44 on them or something, and they ended up beating them. But I could see this being one of those games where it was like, oh, San Francisco's going to San Francisco's going to destroy them, and New England ends up destroying them. It could easily go that way, or it could easily go San Francisco destroys them. I think San Francisco is going to win the game just purely based on the fact that I think they have a better team. They have a more complete team. They have a great run game. They got a good quarterback. They got some The wide receiver core, they lost Emmanuel Sanders in free agency. I don't know who else they have, but
George Kittle.
George Kittle, right? You can't forget him. They got a damn good tight end in George Kittle. So, just saying, they got a great team purely based on the fact that they have a better team than New England. I do think they're going to beat New England. Doesn't bring me any joy to admit it, but it is.
I got us beating San Fran.
What?
I got us beating San Fran. You and I had different opinions right there.
Yeah, we do. We have different. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. Whenever I say it, I think they're going to lose. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. Okay, so this is the first game at Buffalo. It's at Buffalo.
This is the one I see us dropping if we're losing one to them. It would be in Buffalo.
Yeah, I think so. To your prediction that they either sweep or they split. If they lose, obviously they would have to split if they have any hope at wanting to gain any ground on the Bills in the race for the AFC East. But I think if oh my God, what was I just talking about? The Bills, Pats, Bills. I seriously just had a brain fart.
This would be the one I said that they would lose.
Oh, okay. So if they beat the Bills here, thank you. If they beat the Bills here, I think they sweep.
Yes.
They beat the Bills this game. I think they'll beat them in Foxborough. But that's the thing. It's going to be getting by that first game. And again, it comes down to Josh Allen's play, but it also comes down to how much of an impact does Devin Singletary have. Because I think now that they don't have Frank Gore, he's going to get a majority of the carries, and I think he's going to make the most of it. I think he's a really good running back. So just don't sleep on Buffalo. That's what I'm saying. But I think if New England wins this first game, I think they do go on to beat Buffalo. And call me crazy, but I think they're going to beat. I think they're going to beat Buffalo, because I think Devin Singletary will have a good year, but I don't think Josh Allen is going to have a great year. And yeah, I know he's got John Brown, he's got Stephon Diggs, he's got guys to throw to, but
he seems to overthrow.
He can extend plays with his legs. I'm not saying he's garbage or completely useless, but he does have a tendency to overthrow receivers, yes. So anyway, moving on. Next game is at the New York Jets.
We'll beat them.
I don't see the Pats losing this game. I just don't. They've never seemed to have trouble with the Jets, and I don't see them starting now. I just don't. I don't see them starting now at any point, having trouble with the Jets. I think, again, though, with the Jets, it comes down to Sam Darnold and how good their run game is. And they got Frank Gore, the aforementioned Frank Gore. They got him. They got Le'Veon Bell. And I think they just drafted a guy. I'm not sure. But, so if they can get a run game going, if Sam Darnold can step his play up a little bit, I think the Jets can be good. But ultimately, I think they're going to be nothing but a bunch of hype, just like always. And I think New England's going to manhandle them in their first meeting. So versus Baltimore, this is in Foxborough. I don't think they win this game. As of right now, I don't think they win. I want them to, but I just don't think it happens.
It'll be a close one.
You think?
It will be close, but I do got Baltimore winning this
When
one.
you say close, how close?
I see like a 27-24 type game.
So you see a last minute, kind of like a last minute field goal, maybe a last minute touchdown. Yeah, I could see it. I could ultimately see Baltimore, either, much like Kansas City, they'll either pound New England into the ground, or they'll barely get out alive. It's possible they barely get out. And look, also much like Kansas City, if Lamar Jackson ain't playing, then I don't see Baltimore doing a whole lot. I just don't. But let's just. I'm pretty sure he's going to be playing at, in Week 10. So be prepared to see him. Be prepared for him. And I think if they can contain him, they can win the game. If they can put some pressure on him, keep the run game to a minimum, because, Mark Ingram just absolutely ripped it up last year as well. I think he ran for like over 100 yards or some shit.
It wasn't good.
It was nasty, man. They ripped the defense apart, and I think Baltimore will win the game, but I think if New England's gonna win, it's gonna be because they contain Lamar Jackson. So anyway, moving on to the game at Houston. This is actually kind of interesting because I really can't tell you if they're going to win or lose this one. Because Houston, like I said earlier,
they start off, like in the first half, they'll do good. Then as the game goes, they seem to fade away.
Yeah, they looked pretty decent against
KC.
Against Kansas City. But they ultimately just... It kind of seemed like they fell apart. Houston did. It just kind of seemed like they gave up. They didn't keep the fight going. So, and now they don't have DeAndre Hopkins. They have Brandon Cooks. They got Kenny Stills. They got Randall Cobb. They have the Will Fuller the fifth or something. They got a decent wide receiver core. They have they have a great quarterback in Deshaun Watson. What were you saying?
They don't have that guy that can. Like DeAndre Hopkins, they don't have that type of receiver, which I think might hurt them this season.
I think that's absolutely going to hurt them, yes. And I think, with that said, I think so. You don't think they should have did what they did? They traded Hopkins for David Johnson. You don't think
that
they should?
That was a bad trade.
I don't. Yeah, like David Johnson's a decent running back, but not worth DeAndre Hopkins. Like, come on.
So you literally your best receiver in franchise history too for a bad running back contract.
Well, I don't know. Is he better than Andre Johnson?
I would honestly say yes. I would take Hopkins over Andre.
Andre in his prime, he was pretty fucking good. But DeAndre is also really good, so I'm not denying that. But funny enough, we play Arizona the week after we play Houston. But anyway, Houston. So, I think New England will win this game. I just don't think Houston's going to... I think they're going to be kind of an average, middle-of-the-road team. I don't think we're going to see a repeat of last year. I think Houston's a good team, but I don't think they're going to be like, oh, we're going to tear New England apart, ha-ha. I just don't see it happening. I think New England wins this game, and I think they win. Maybe not easy, but I think they win.
I think they'll beat Houston by 10.
Yeah, I could see that. All right, so versus Arizona, I don't see them losing this one. Arizona, they're going to be better than they were last year, but I don't think they're going to be like Super Bowl contenders. I don't even think they're going to make the playoffs, but they are going to be better than they were last year. Kyler Murray's game is definitely going to get better. Now he's got guys to throw to besides, who is it, Christian Kirk and Larry Fitzgerald.
And DeAndre Hopkins.
Now he's got DeAndre Hopkins, so he's got a very good wide receiver core to throw to. He's got a really good run game in Kenyon Drake. So, yeah, I think Arizona's going to be a tough game. And we could lose, but I think I err more on New England. Lean more on New England winning that game, definitely. I think New England wins that one. Like I said, I just don't think Arizona... I just don't think they're going to be, great. I think they'll be good. They'll be, 8-8. Maybe they'll crank out a winning season and go 9-7. But I think that's what they'll do at the best, and I think one of those losses is going to come to New England. What about you?
Oh,
Arizona.
I think we'll beat them by 17.
You think we're going to smoke them, pretty much. Okay. Not giving Arizona much confidence there. Very nice. Very nice. So, all right. The LA Chargers, Week 13. This one's tough. I think they will beat the Chargers if it's either Justin Herbert or Tyrod Taylor. But I think how the game goes is going to come down to the Chargers' position in the playoff hunt. If they're still in a spot to make the playoffs, I think they're going to play a lot harder. But if they're not in the playoff run, they got Justin Herbert. More or less, their whole thing is going to be, hey, let's just get Justin Herbert in there. Let's keep him protected. Let's get his feet wet. Let's get him some experience in the NFL. And I think New England does win the game. I really do. I just think the Chargers are not, much like the Cardinals, I think they're going to be better than last year now that they kind of trimmed the fat being Phillip Rivers. And I think I think they'll be better than they were last year, but ultimately, again, they're not gonna be the greatest. I don't even think they're gonna be that great. I don't think they're gonna take the AFC West. I think Kansas City and Denver, or maybe Kansas City and Las Vegas, are gonna duke it out for that. I just don't see the Chargers. It's funny too because Chargers have some great players. They got some great talent. It's just the quarterback position is such a question mark for me. Because, again, I don't really think Tyrod Taylor is all that in a bag of chips myself.
He's that quarterback that will not turn over the ball over for you. He's the black Alex Smith.
So he's like Dak Prescott is what you're saying. He's clean.
Yes. He won't get the interception, but he also won't have the high touchdowns. He can get you the yards and the rush yards.
He's also got good legs. He can extend plays. He's got a decent arm. I mean, he has some potential. I just don't think he's a starting quarterback in the NFL. That's just what I think. Now, if Justin Herbert's playing, like I said, their whole thing is going to be, hey, let's just get him in, let's get him some experience, let's get his feet wet. And depending how good he's playing, they could give New England a fight, but I don't see it. Because Belichick usually does very well against rookie quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson was kind of an exception, but I don't see Justin Herbert being an exception. So, anyway, let's move on to the LA Rams.
I got New England winning.
Yeah, I do too, and it's mostly because I feel like the Rams are just slowly falling apart. I mean, yeah, they just inked Jalen Ramsey to a big contract. They just inked Cooper Kupp to a contract. They shredded some contracts along the way. They got rid of Todd Gurley. I don't know if they're still paying some of that. They traded Brandon Cooks, so they got rid of that contract. So I think with the Rams, with Sean McVay, it seems like what he's trying to do is like reboot in a manner of speaking, rather than go into full on rebuild and start trading off guys left and right, kind of like the Dolphins did last year. I don't see the Rams like as a rebuilding team. I see them more as like a reboot. Like they're more or less just shedding a couple big contracts only to make room for a couple more. And I mean Cooper Kupp's contract, I don't remember the details off the top of my head. I know it's like a 3-year extension. Jalen Ramsey, I think, got a 6-year extension. He's the highest paid corner in the league now, which I don't really. I mean, he's a good corner, but I don't know if he deserves to be highest paid corner. I think Stephon Gilmore earned that payday, and actually Stephon Gilmore got a raise. He went from making $10.5 million to $15.5 million.
Yes.
So good for him. He deserved it. But anyway, back to the game against the LA Rams. I do see New England winning this one just because the Rams it's hard to gauge where they're going to be. They really do feel like they're falling apart. They feel like they're just slowly deteriorating, and they just don't feel like they're the team that was in the Super Bowl a few years back. against New England. They don't feel like they're that team anymore. And, I mean, they don't have Dante Fowler. They don't have Ndamukong Suh. So maybe that's kind of the thing. But they still got Aaron Donald. So, and it also comes down to this. And I just, Jared Goff. I don't have a lot of confidence in Jared Goff myself. If I'm a Rams fan, I don't have a lot of confidence in that guy. I don't think he's, quite frankly, I don't think he's that good. I'll just say it. Screw it, So, I think the Patriots will win this one, and I'll go as far as to say I don't think they're going to have too much trouble. I really don't. They seem to handle the Rams really well, and I don't have any reason to think that they won't this time. So, you have any thoughts on the Rams, the New England, the Rams game? You think they're going to win by 13?
At least.
I just noticed it's a Thursday night game, December 10th at 8:20 p.m. So, we got 3 games left here. Week 15 at Miami.
When?
Yeah, I don't know. With Miami, we either, blow them out or we struggle really bad. And I think at this point in the season, it comes down to how we're playing. Because think about it like last year. Last year, they absolutely smacked Miami around left and right. Like, it wasn't even fucking close. But this year, or at the end of the year, they struggled, and they struggled, and they struggled, and they lost. They lost their last, 2, 3 season?
Something like that.
They literally went into the playoffs on, a fucking gurney or something. They went on a fucking stretcher. They lost their last game of the season to Miami. It was a total freaking momentum stopper. And I feel like if they're struggling at this point in the season, they will, they'll lose. They'll lose to Miami if they're struggling, but they will win if they're on fire or they need to get in. They need to get into the playoffs. They need to win to get in. They'll beat Miami if they need to get it for a playoff spot. I think it's that simple too. But anyway, give me your thoughts on what you said you think they'll win.
It depends on where Miami is during the season. If they're 4 and what week is it?
15.
So if they're 4-10, I could see New England winning this one. But if they're in the playoffs, they're 7-5.
Well, I think. Go ahead.
Or 7-6, then I see Miami giving us more of a challenge.
Yeah, I could see that. I think with Miami, at that point, if they're 4-10, we'll see Tua. That's what we're gonna see. We're gonna see Tua. We're gonna see a lot of rookie quarterbacks this year, but we will see Tua if they're 4-10. But if they're winning with Fitzpatrick, I don't see them benching Fitzpatrick for Tua in this game. Unless Tua, takes a starting spot and they end up winning with him. Who knows? Let's see. But we both agree that they will win that one, so we're going to move on to Buffalo, Week 16. This is in Foxborough. It's a Monday night game, December 28th. I stand by what I said earlier. If they beat Buffalo at Buffalo, they will beat Buffalo this game. If just for this game here, just because it's in Foxborough, I think they will win.
Yes.
But again, it also depends where they're at. If they got to win for a playoff spot, I think they'll win this game. But if they're already in the playoffs, they might rest the starters and give up an L. It is what it is. I don't think we're going to be in that kind of a position at that point, but it's possible. But anyway, what do you think of Buffalo this game here? You think they'll beat?
We'll win that one.
All right.
It's in Foxborough, and like I said, if we win one, that is the one that we will win.
Yeah, Buffalo's defense is going to be pretty solid. That's another thing I didn't even think about when we were talking about Buffalo. Speaking of which, my dad has them on his fantasy team. He has their defense, so it's kind of funny. Like that's like the 1 week I'm hoping that his defense gets absolutely shredded, but we'll see. I do think ultimately they do win the game, but again, we'll see. And the last game, Week 17, it's at Foxborough, and it's versus the Jets.
We're going to win.
We'll win that one, yeah. I don't think there's any way possible they lose that one. I think it's pretty much, like, let's be honest, unless something... Because it could always happen. I do, like I said, subscribe to the belief of any given Sunday, but just given the history of these teams, I don't see New England losing to New York.
I got New England beating them by 20.
I could definitely see them winning by 20. Yeah. Well, anyway, so that about wraps it up for this. You know, we've been talking for about an hour here. It was great having you on, man. I really do appreciate it. You know, I love talking about Patriots football with you. It's a lot of fun. So to kind of wrap things up, what do you think, if you had to give 2 possible records, what do you think they would be?
Somewhere between 11-5 or 9-7.
Yeah, it's about, I would say, at the worst, 7-9. I don't think they're going to go 5-11. I just don't see that happening. They do have a very tough schedule. They have the toughest schedule in the NFL, and they also they had like a lot of big names opt out this year, so that is going to play a role. But I think Bill Belichick knows what he's doing. They got a superstar. They got a former MVP in Cam Newton, who I think is very much due for a career revival. And they got a decent amount of running backs. I think the run game will be there. Wide receivers got to step up big. But I think overall, as far as record goes, I don't see us doing any worse than 7-9. But I can't see them going better than 11-5 myself. But anyway, that's just what I think. Everyone out there, thank you for listening. Let us know your thoughts, your opinions down below. What do you think, fellow Patriots fans out there? What do you think the season's going to look like for us? Do you think it's going to be a long season because they're going to do terrible, or do you think you think that they're going to do great? They're going to go like 13-3. Whatever your thoughts are, throw them in the comment section below, man. Let's get a conversation going about this. Anyway, Vinny, thank you for being on. I really do appreciate it. It's always great having you on this. And, yep, until next time, guys, go Pats.